For all of you out there joining us, Dr. Dawn Wright is the chief scientist at Esri. She is one of my personal heroes and a mentor in many capacities, and these days I also consider her a friend. And last year, during UC's first virtual event, Dawn and I got to sit down and we talked a lot about the similarities in our work. You know, the biology that I do on land, the biology that she does so well and has done for such a long time in the oceans. And we kind of want to continue that a little bit, but something tells me a lot has changed since last year.
Yes, and not just last year, but this particular last year.
Right.
My goodness. But Rae, this is a thrill for me to be with you, one of my personal heroes. You are my little sister. That's how.
Absolutely.
That's where the friendship
the term.
has gone.
That's
yeah.
where we're gonna. That's what we're gonna call it for sure.
But I would like to know what has changed for you since we had such a good time last year. So what have you been up to? I know you have changed locations.
I've changed locations, yeah. And so what Dawn is alluding to is that I have formally and quite officially started research in a new site. And so I am very fortunate to be working on carnivore ecology on the Jack and Laura Dangerment Preserve, which is on the central coast of California. And, you know, I am now 16 years into my research career. I have been studying bears and lions and primates all over the world. And right now on the Dangerment Preserve, there is tons of wildlife. I mean, we have all kinds of critters all over the place. It's a really special, amazing place, a working landscape, and yet very little is known about the carnivore activity on that landscape. And I have the privilege to be the first carnivore researcher to figure out what's going on. So that means quite literally, you know, set out cameras to see when and where we're getting black bears walking around. You know, I've very glamorously spent the last several weeks with some of my student interns looking for a mountain lion scat. So that's a great indicator of the presence of these really critical top predators. You know, fox, coyote, bobcats, you know, one of the state of California's most recent statewide bobcat survey is also having a section of survey work done on the Jack and Laura Dangerment Preserve. So just so much discovery. And I think that's the thing that makes me feel the most excited at different points in my life is being able to make discoveries about, you know, who's there, where are they, how many, how are they using the resources. So it's been really tremendous, really, really tremendous. And as you know, that nature preserve is a very special place because it's also coastal.
Yes. Yes, very few people know that the Jack and Laura Dangerment Preserve includes the offshore. And right at the Point Conception, right at that point, there is an extension to the Point Conception Marine Reserve, which is a no-take reserve within the California Marine Reserve System.
Right.
And thus it will be really important in terms of the broader 30 by 30 initiative.
Absolutely, because we're seeing a protected area on land adjacent to a protected area in the ocean, a marine protected area.
Yes.
And that's really special, really rare and really special.
Yes, and your work, Rae, as the first Point Conception Institute fellow, I should say, because there is a research institute that is associated with the Dangerment Preserve now that is up and running. And it's wonderful that we have Mark Reynolds as the new director for that preserve.
Wonderful.
But you will be helping to add to the digital twin of that preserve, and then the movement analysis of species on that particular part of the landscape. But then we're also going to try to do that on the seascape or in the seascape as well.
Oh, exciting.
So
yeah,
we're
that's
very
exactly,
excited.
you know, there's so much of the actual empirical discovery that I'm looking to make, you know, figuring out which individual animals do we have walking around and using the landscape. And at the same time, there's going to be a lot of modeling work that me and my team are intending to do. So, you know, putting a collar, a GPS collar on one big predator, a bear or a mountain lion, and then seeing where it moves, you know, seeing how it uses the Dangerment Preserve and then also how it uses, you know, the matrix of landscape throughout Central California. Because likely, we don't know for sure, but likely these animals do some dispersal to other areas. And the connectivity and the kind of safe refugia that the preserve creates is really important for us to understand, and it can give us insights to what the rest of California needs, to meet conservation goals, maybe what the rest of the country needs, or even the world.
Yes.
And especially in the oceans, the oceans are global, so it's super, super important. And something tells me that you brought some props that are related.
Yes, and I want to continue the Mappy Hour theme of yesterday with Legos, but one of the exciting things that's happening for me right now, Rae, and for Esri, is our involvement in the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development.
Fantastic.
And that decade has started this year.
Wonderful.
And Esri is involved in, I believe, 5 or 6 of the 60 programs and initiatives that have been endorsed by the UN Decade.
Wow.
And one of those is Seabed 2030, which is getting to a very detailed map of the ocean floor by 2030.
Sure, globally.
So globally, so
it's
the
big endeavor.
It's a global equivalent to the Great Land Cover layer that you were talking about yesterday with Impact Observatory and also with Microsoft.
Yes, and if you all missed yesterday's plenary, please go back and review it, because I'm telling you, that global land cover map really impressed the pants off of me.
It rocks,
for sure.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that we do also is not just map the ocean floor, but we're doing the analytics on the ocean floor for sustainability in various ways.
Important.
But the suitability of areas as we seek sustainability is important, and that's where this comes in. Because this is an actual model of a wind turbine.
Let me try it the other direction,
this is
see if it's fully functional. Yes.
And it's something that was given to me by QPS, our business partners, QPS, because QPS has been working with this particular wind farm in the North Sea. And this is a wind farm that Lego, the actual Lego company, is using to generate their energy. And Lego has recently gotten to the level of getting energy from this alternative source that meets their needs. So they have completely met their 2020 goal to actually use as much energy as they need, and even to have a little bit more that's left over. And they have wind turbines. They own 30% of the wind turbines in this particular wind farm in the North Pacific. And this is a little boat that actually has a Lego helicopter on top of it and a Lego crane. And it has these anchors on the bottom because we need to know exactly where on the seafloor to anchor something like this as the wind turbine gets built. And the software that is used to find out what is the suitable place on the seafloor to do this is QPS's software in collaboration with ArcGIS Pro.
Wow.
So it's
what
a
a
wonderful
collaboration.
partnership.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
And then to be able to build the actual structure, for me, John Nelson, as he mentioned yesterday, this is my object of joy. And for my Mappy Hour friends, here's another Lego to add to Ken Field's collection.
I love this. I have to say that, the kid in me that was obsessed with Legos, absolutely loves to see them in our professional spaces as well. I mean, we talk about modeling that I do, which is statistical modeling, but I have to say this type of actual physical modeling is really awesome and just brings a lot of this to life,
Yes.
It's really, really wonderful.
They're digital twins, and then they're Lego twins, I guess.
Yeah, the physical twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And, I just can't imagine what we'll be talking about next year this time. We've seen so much change in our work, so much progress, even a little bit of discovery. By next year, it's going to be even more, the year after even more. With a specific emphasis on, the Point Conception Institute at the Jack and Laura Dangerman Preserve, the amazing, discovery of different top predators and the way they use the landscape and really manage the landscape. Many of them are ecosystem engineers. And when I say top predators, again, I'm really focused on, the terrestrial animals that I study. But again, it's a coastal space, and we have great white sharks in the water. We have elephant seals. I mean, the list goes on. There's a lot of really large, mammals, fish, a lot of predators that are really controlling from the top down, the trophic levels of these ecosystems.
Yes.
And GIS helps us track these animals, monitor their movements, understand what might happen next, really predict some climate change scenarios and plan for them. I mean, the list goes on.
And the Dangerman Preserve is so unusual in terms of the predator-prey relationships. As you've discovered already, these mountain lions can come all the way down to the beach and they can munch on the seals there. So there's that very unusual relationship. And
absolutely.
One of the things we're trying to do is to characterize this intersection between the land and the sea through our coastal characterizations. At Esri, we're working with many partners, including the U.S. Geological Survey, on a global ecological coastal units characterization. So this is basically a big, huge global coastline that has attributes associated with it in terms of 10 different factors.
Oh,
so that's something else that has just been released. We're just starting to talk about it. And so this is something that we hope to talk about more next year. So next year, I hope that when we come together again, we'll have all of these solutions that are underway.
Oh yeah, and I hope all of our listeners out there are really tuned into that. This understanding of our nation, our world's coastlines is so important. The majority of, human population live within a certain proximity to coasts. We're dependent on coastlines for economics, for, the built environment, for transportation. But we're also finding that wild animals depend on coastlines too. And so moving forward, also in the face of climate change, the GIS tools are helping us figure out, where to protect these coastlines, where to use them in sustainable ways, exactly how this all fits together. It's really important, and I can't wait to really take it away next year as well. Indeed.
Yes, and it's going to be really fun to talk about what progress has been made in these various decades.
Yes.
So there's the UN decade that I talked about for the ocean. There is an ecological decade. There is this convention on biological diversity that is launching. Everything is moving forward towards 2030.
Right.
Of course, we know everything is 30-30.
Everything is
30
30-30.
by 30.
Yeah, at least in this building. Everything is 30-30, and I really like that.